I never thought I'd say it, but right now it seems like Disney's future is in the hands of Jared Leto. Hey y'all, SnarkyJay cosplay here. So just this week, I made a video about a huge shakeup over at Disney that happened pretty quietly. They had a slot in 2027 for an original Marvel film, and that got completely deleted and replaced by the second Simpsons movie, which we haven't seen a Simpsons film in almost 20 years now. In that video, I sort of analyzed specifically what that means for Marvel, but I think that this is way more about what's happening with Disney as a studio and way less about Marvel or superhero fatigue specifically. Now, today, as of the time of this video's recording, the new Disney film Tron ARES is set to release. If you're not super familiar with the Tron franchise, the first film came out in 1982, and the last time we saw anything Tron related on the big screen was all the way back in 2010 with its sequel, Tron Legacy. What it looks like is happening with Disney is that right now all their hopes are on Tron, with huge red carpet premieres, influencers who claim not to be Disney shills raving about this movie like it's the second coming of Christ, plus even an overlay on the ride at the Magic Kingdom Park at Walt Disney World in Orlando. Disney is really hoping to squeeze all the juice out of the lemon on this one. They want to make their money. And I mean, it makes sense. Nobody puts several $1,000,000 into a film without wanting it to make money, but we also have to think about how absolutely bloated the budget on Snow White was, and how at the end of the day that whole marketing thing was almost very hush-hush, like Disney was too nervous to even promote the out of the movie. It looks like they're really hoping for a win. Naturally, it makes sense to stake that on the enormous charisma of Jared Leto, but hey, who doesn't love the concept of being on the grid in Tron, right? So let's jump right into it. Right now, Disney's in trouble. I take no pleasure, actually I do take pleasure in saying that, but Disney has kind of been up shit's creek without a paddle for a little while. Yeah, they had a huge superhero win with Marvel's Deadpool and Wolverine, which was enormous in terms of the box office, and they also did pretty well with Guardians of the Galaxy 3. That's always been a pretty successful franchise for them. Unfortunately, those don't really make up for 4 other losses in the past few years, like the Eternals, the Marvels, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and most recently, Captain America 4, which they've gone back and forth over how much money they spent on it, but either way, any way you spin it, that was a flop at the box office. So Disney's cape-wearing cash cow Marvel is really not the golden goose it once was. On the other hand, Disney has been struggling even with their very own properties. Yes, live-action remakes like The Lion King and even the sequel Mufasa didn't do too badly at all, but when you look at something like Snow White, which they spent almost $500 million on, and not only was it critically loathed and pretty much ignored by big chunks of their fan base, but it also flopped tremendously at the box office and brought on a whole series of controversies that Disney really didn't need. If you're Disney and you've just put out a live-action remake of the famous film that put your studio on the map, and it is not only ignored and panned by critics, but actively loathed by major parts of your money-making audience, you know you're doing something wrong and you're definitely worried about it. So Disney's past, 2 to 4 years in the box office have been pretty weak, and I know for a fact that that has to be prompting them to reevaluate risk and make different changes. And some of those changes I think are reflected in how hard they're now pushing Tron in hopes to really get people on board. It's been 15 years since Tron was even on the big screen, and before that, from 1982 to 2010 is 28 years? I might have gotten that wrong. I was really bad at math growing up, and I'm still bad at math, nothing changed. So if I'm wrong, please be gentle. I can't be good at everything. Anyway, it's not like Tron was some modern pop culture icon when it came back in 2010, and to be completely honest, before they started building the ride in Magic Kingdom, I had not thought about Tron since I saw the one from 2010. It's been 15 years. Kids don't give a shit about Tron. I don't think most people my age give a shit about Tron. It's not that big a deal. So Disney is absolutely putting all their eggs in one basket on a thing that's borderline irrelevant to anybody that was not alive in the 80s, and they are so hoping that they can recoup some of the cash that they lost with these other flops. And right now, you might be thinking, Jay, I think you're being a big pessimist about all of this. Well, one, if you're thinking that, welcome to the channel. Two, the misses matter. Every Disney loss in recent years, even if it's not a huge flop, but it was sort of a flop, all of these things matter for Disney's bottom line. Disney is not some untouchable, self-contained machine. They have investors that have no doubt seen all the recent losses and are looking at Disney and really applying pressure in order to recoup some so that they can go buy their next yacht. Disney really can't afford too many box office bombs, and I would say that they've probably already reached their limit. On another note, I think they're definitely starting to feel like franchise fatigue is a real thing. Disney Plus series like season 3 of The Mandalorian didn't perform as well as the others. Even series like The Acolyte, despite the supporters trying to claim that everybody and their mother watched this show, it really didn't get the kind of viewership that it needed to justify how expensive it was. Disney is starting to see that some of these franchises that they could really rely on to make major money are maybe not the money makers they once were. Or maybe it's that they won't hire people that are f***ing talented and listen to fans. I don't f***ing know, but either way, things are not going well. So Disney, I think with Tron, sees it as an opportunity to almost start a new fandom and kind of reinsert Tron into pop culture as maybe like this new thing. Because again, we haven't seen a Tron film since 2010, and before that, we hadn't seen one since 1982. So if Disney can really bank on Tron making a lot of money and people reinvigorating their excitement for this franchise or getting newly interested in it, well, they might have a new, safer bet than relying on franchises that already look like they're failing. Disney's confidence in these franchises has definitely tanked, and the other thing that I think they're really dealing with is a loss of fan goodwill. People have actively started turning on Disney as a corporation and as a studio for a number of different reasons, some of which lean into socio-political topics that I don't really care to get into right now. But all of these misfires, all of these agenda-pushing projects have really started to drive people away from Disney. And that's bad news for them as a corporation, so I think maybe they see Tron as a reset. I think what we're seeing with Tron, with this marketing push, with the re-theming of the Tron ride to reflect the whole ARES thing going on at Magic Kingdom, I think Disney is hoping for a recalibration in how they promote these films and how the audience sort of receives anything that Disney puts out. I think they know that on the one hand, a lot of parents are now skeptical about their stuff, and I think that they know that there is a large audience of people on the internet willing to complain about anything Disney puts out. I wouldn't know any of these people, obviously. So I think Tron really has a lot riding on it, because I think part of Disney's strategy moving forward might come from how well or how poorly this performs in the box office, as well as how it's received by the general population. If people are really into Tron, I haven't seen it, so I have no judgment on it. But if people are really into Tron ARES, then that might mean that they start making more of these, or they start betting on other IPs, and again, not these big franchises like Star Wars and Marvel that are no longer really winning the way they used to. It also means we might start seeing more reboots and retreads of older stuff as opposed to brand new films. We already know that Disney is no strangers to reboots or remakes because they keep doing live action remakes of every f***ing animated film we've ever loved, and each one is worse than the last. But if Disney sees success in pulling out a franchise from the 80s that hasn't seen the light of day in over a decade, if they succeed in that, then they might start digging through the cupboard to see what else they can put out and see if they can make any wins or any real money on other stuff along the same lines. But I think what really might end up happening is if this movie isn't a tremendous commercial success, Disney is gonna have to start leaning more and more into low-risk risk, low budget projects. I don't know what's going on at Hollywood and why everything costs so much to make, but things have gotten absolutely out of line, especially when it comes to Disney. And I think they're gonna start realizing that they really need to pull the reins back on some of these budgets and some of these projects and put out things that are maybe mid-budget and lower risk. I think bringing back Tron with this sort of marketing push is, yeah, okay, they're making awareness a huge deal, but like also, who cares? Like, I've seen a bunch of my friends at the premieres doing the red neon thing, and I think they look fantastic. Aesthetically, it's really cool. If I were to tell you I'm inspired to go spend money to watch this movie, I would be lying through my teeth. Now, I mean, to be 100% fair, one flop is not gonna doom a giant, and even though it's way more than one, I would say it's probably like 6 at this point. Disney is not, you know, shaking around their little metal can begging for coins. But I think if we look at it from an investor standpoint, they're definitely not at the untouchable status they were a few years ago. Disney's core is still in and of itself pretty profitable, but a lot of the pillars that uphold Disney are sort of starting to shake a little bit. The parks aren't doing as well, and they just announced huge price increases for pretty much everything at the parks. Marvel is failing. Disney Plus isn't doing particularly well. People are canceling subscriptions, people are canceling trips, people are stopping watching series and movies for all sorts of reasons. So I think despite the fact that Disney does have real stability, and to say otherwise would be unfair, they definitely have some stuff to worry about. Their castle is not built on sand, but when dirt starts turning to mud, we too often see mansions fall off a cliff into the abyss, and it seems like Disney might be at risk of that very same thing happening unless they start to make some major foundational changes. Anyway, all of this remains to be seen. Personally, I'm going to be watching Tron ARES' box office like a hawk, and I'm definitely going to be seeing what Disney does in the next quarter after those box office numbers are secure and in for good, because it's definitely going to shape what they start doing moving forward. I've seen so many interesting marketing pushes, and they're really doing such a big effort to make this a big deal that if it doesn't work, we'll see what they do next. So all in all, it's actually been really interesting trying to analyze how all the flops of 2023 through 2025 have basically been catalysts for Disney staking all their hopes and dreams on Tron ARES, of all things. I hope the movie is good. I've seen some thumbnail photos for reviews that are out already from people that I trust that do not look fantastic, but hey, we'll see what happens. And that's all from me. I've been SnarkyJay. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. For more SnarkyJay, be sure to check me out on Instagram, and if you'd like to support me, this channel, and my content creation, do check out and consider subscribing to my Patreon for exclusive photo shoot sets and cosplay content. I'll add links to all of those in the description below. And let me know if you think Tron ARES is gonna break $500 million at the box office in the comments below.